was it? Is that Wilkie guy ran for 30?
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Hey there, everybody, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. It's time for Friday Night Lights. It's week 1, DFS main slate. Dr. Roto with Willie Walls and the great Swami Odell Blocker. Guys, I'm ready to make some money this year. I want somebody, either us, somebody we know like Alicia, Trevor, Danger, Heat, or one of our subscribers to win at least $1 million this year, if not more. Willie Walls, are you ready to win your million?
Yes, sir. It's time to do it. We got a great slate. We're gonna have some different thoughts than some other people want to have, but let's mix it up. Get in and listen. I'm honestly, as we all know, week 1 is a fill out. Please do not lose all your money, because some things that you think may happen may not happen the way you think it happens. It's always going to be that team that you're not looking at that's going to do something. So please watch your bankroll to make sure that you can get patterns and you can start seeing things, before you get started.
Swami, you agree with that? Week 1 to me is a little, I always say I'm like one of those chess machines. The more weeks that go, the smarter I get. Week 1 is a little rough because you just don't know what to expect.
Doc, I'm going to disagree with him just to disagree with him. Not just no, Doc, but hell no. And let me tell you why. Walls loves this thing where he has to be certain. He has to know where everything is at, and it has to be perfect first. Well, I tell you what, uncertainty is our friend. Not knowing where is the opportunity for experts to give expert opinions. Let's welcome it.
You know what? You are so full of crap, sir. You really are. And it really pisses me off because you say one thing and you only playing a couple of lines. Well, I want to lock it in because you don't know. You's a lying rascal, man. You are full of dude.
All right. You rascals, just stop arguing already. All right, let's get started. Arizona against Buffalo. Let's talk about this game. First of all, Arizona, very good run schemes. The passing schemes, not nearly as good. But let's take a look at this game. You've got Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. You've got Trey McBride. You've got James Conner. You've got Josh Allen on the other side. Dalton Kincaid, not going to cost you a ton. James Cook. And then you get a bunch of Buffalo receivers where we don't know who's the guy, right? We're not sure yet who's the guy. Willie, when you attack this game, it feels like we should be loving Buffalo at home. Are you stacking Allen? Are you riding Allen naked? What are you doing here with Buffalo?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. This is not going to be my main target game. I get it because, Buffalo to me is expensive, and even though Allen is a great player and they're going against the worst, this defense is last in everything, okay? And they didn't get better. They lost the pass rusher, so they got worse. So Allen can have a big game, So, I think a lot of people are going to be enamored with that rookie, Mr. Coleman, but he right now is struggling. And I still think, their 2 best receivers they have is secure because he could get open. He gets open, and the tight end Kincaid. You know what I mean? Those are their 2 best weapons. And Cook, listen, Cook might run for over 100 yards, but we just don't trust him with the touchdown. So really, if I'm going to play it, I probably will play it with Allen, and either it'll be Kincaid or I will have Secure. That will be my 2 people that I will play.
Swami, are you playing Allen? If you are you playing him with Kincaid? Are you bringing anybody back like a Connor or a Harrison, or are you just avoiding this game?
Doc, I'm seeing already that this is going to be a theme. So let me just get it out the way. I disagree with Willie again. And here's why. He talked about Buffalo and their prices being a little too high. If you look at it, Shakir, Coleman, Kincaid, none of these guys are really high. And if you look at it, neither is Cook. The only person whose price is where it should be, is obviously Mr. Allen, who's in a great spot. But the only concern for week 1 is that I think, as we saw so far through these first couple of games, the quarterbacks are starting a little rusty. They're not not there, and these are the best that we have in the league right now, and they're struggling. So I hope Allen hits the ground running, and my money is on Allen to hit the ground running. So I like this Buffalo team week 1.
I like Allen. I can get behind Allen Kincaid. I just feel like I'd rather spend my money elsewhere. I can get as much maybe from a Richardson. I can get as much from a Stroud. I could go cheaper. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a game I'm playing.
And that's, Doc, could I rebut that? Because I think that's how a lot of people are feeling. And that's what makes this more of an interesting play. We're going to get into some other ones, but I think anytime we have people we know can break a slate and folks are kind of down on them, that I think it makes them a little bit more intriguing.
I'm with you. I just don't see the stack. And I know to take down, to be your rich friend, I'm going to need the stack. So, I mean, JS gave us one here with Harrison and Connor McBride. It just feels like it's too much. But I do think anybody who's going to say that Allen's going to go bonkers, I agree with that. He'd override said it, but I agree with that. All right, let's talk about a really cheap play. Cincinnati's playing New England. I want to talk about 2 big plays in this game. One, Iosivas, right? T. Higgins not playing. Jamar Chase, who knows what's happening. Cincinnati goes from a guaranteed win to who knows. And then the Bengals defense. Bengals defense is in a really good spot, guys. Also, New England. Polk is cheap. Douglas is cheap. Stevenson is cheap. Swami, do you like anybody here?
Like, I think they are cheap for a reason. I like the word affordable, and I like words like value. These guys are just cheap, but they're cheap for a reason. It's not a like you can like about the offenses. We're not really sure we're going to get out the game. This seems like, maybe it could hit boom or bust territory, but we can't like the quarterbacks we can't like the quarterback for New England enough to really, really like any of those options, but he is decent. And on the other side of the ball, you hope that without Higgins, this doesn't mean that, Chase is getting all of the coverage and the game is just as a result of Higgins being out. But I think you're right, Doc. I mean, from a if you're trying to make a lineup work, this is a good spot to maybe punt and grab one of these guys, but I don't love it. No.
Willie, Iosivas is going to be $3,000. Is he a free square?
I'm not gonna say he's a free square, but he's a man of interest that I will have a few liners with him. If you saw the last game that he played, that he got an opportunity to play, he had 20 DraftKings points. When you could get something like that on this slate, and then you have people like, I don't know if you want to play, if you want to play Tyreek, if you want to play who is an expensive stack, if you want to play that type of, or if you want to play Adams, or whatever player you want to play that's expensive, you're gonna need guys like this. So I think at $3,000, he's definitely a man of interest. Like I said, the last game he played, he had 20 points. I mean,
but Willie, aren't we going to see a lot of teams that start Tyreek and Iosivas? Aren't most going to start that way?
Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm just saying I'm going to have a couple, because I'm going to have a couple lineups where I probably do Tyreek and Jefferson. Just to have a different build. That's not going to be my core, but what I'm just saying, that could be just like a different build. And if you do that, a guy like a 3,000 can be very helpful for your lineup. Now, if the dude gets 25 points and gets a touchdown, then you're in trouble when you don't have him.
Right. All right. Speaking of Jefferson, you mentioned him, the Vikings and the Giants. It's a really interesting game. The Vikings like to blitz. Daniel Jones is not terrible against the blitz. If he can find some time and throw it to Malik Neighbors, is Malik Neighbors sneaky? So you have Jefferson, you have Neighbors. Singletary is going to get a lot of touches. Willie, can you make an argument for anybody in this game outside of Jefferson?
Yeah, I mean, listen, and I think that's why I'm not going to play him, because Neighbors is getting a lot of steam. He really is getting a lot of steam. And, I think that I can get other players at less ownership who I think could do the same thing as Mr. Neighbors. Listen, don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. He is good. But I just think that, man, he's popular, and he's still got that cheap quarterback. So I listen. He is not a core for me. He could be a core for Swami, but he's not a core for me. I get it, I understand, but no, thank you.
Swami, I love the neighbors over prop bet. I love it. It's like 58.5 yards. Do you like him in DFS? Do you like the Vikings in DFS?
Doc, you got me warming up, and I won't do all that hemming and hawing that Willie did, all that and all of that. I like bread and butter. I like toast. Just spit it out. And Doc, here's what I will say. You've had me look a little close at this since we've been talking in the preseason, and I will say that I'm more interested in this game. It is still kind of more that boom or bust. But Slayton, what he did to finish the year last year, you feel like Neighbors is going to bring something to the table. You think even Singletary could be, bring a little something to that Giants offense. If you're assuming that they still want to kind of, run first like they did with Barkley. And on the other side, can Darnold do enough? Can he get the ball out of his hands? Can he get it to the playmakers? Can you let them make some plays? And I think it's the same thing there. I'm talking about Aaron Jones. I'm talking about, even the tight end position. I know they got like 2 or 3 guys in the mix there. Whether you think it's Oliver, whether you think it's Mutt, I still think it's something here that's worth looking into. And I wouldn't be surprised if Neighbor had a great game week 1.
I think so. I'd mentioned the Giants defense. Look, Sam Darnold can throw 2 picks. Giants defense with Brian Burns is better, so maybe that's interesting as well. All right, Steelers against the Falcons. This one, guys. Is Kyle Pitts healthy? We don't know. He said he's ready to go. Drake London's going to see a lot of Joey Porter. Joey Porter's a pretty good cover guy, but London is popping up in a lot of these optimizers. George Pickens is going to see a lot of A.J. Terrell. Bijan Robinson is going to cost you a lot of money to put him on your roster, Swami. Any pieces here you're in love with?
I tell you what, since this Saquon Barkley I'm in love with, he's going to put these doggone Eagles into the playoffs early. Anyway, yes. One, because they're playing the Steelers, who I think are well coached, but they don't have a lot of talent right now. And at least they don't seem to be playing well. Seems like they might have to go, with a different quarterback week 1 than what we were expecting. But I think, again, it's still some fantasy something here. If I had to pick a piece, I was on Pitts until that hamstring popped up. That kind of made me a little nervous. So I'm still looking back at London. I'm saying, all right, a lot of folks are talking about London. I'm not mad because Cousins, he gets a little bit of a bump. But the person, again, who became a little bit more intriguing was then was then Bijan. And I want to call him Mr. Bijan. And the reason why I want to say Bijan, because it rhymes with Dijon. And I think this guy is going to be, pretty spicy in week 1. And I know Willie doesn't like him because of his price, but I think that's what makes him a contrarian play week 1.
That's interesting, Willie. Swami may be onto something here. He's expensive, but does expensive, Tommy G, our good friend Tommy G said, oh, Doc, when you fade up, because people don't like to spend on expensive guys. Is Bijan a good fade up?
So first of all, sir, I'm the one that like Bijan. He is such a you know what? Can I just call you Mr. Chameleon because you're two-faced? I mean, you really are. You are a two-faced rascal, man. I mean, really. Okay, no, I'm sorry, everybody. Listen, I love Bijan, but the more I look at it, I think Pittsburgh is still from that north. You know what I mean? So don't disrespect these guys. And I think they're being disrespected, and they might play it closer to the vest because guess who might be quarterbacking? Mr. Russell Wilson might be out of that game. We don't know.
Stop with the Justin Fields. Stop with Justin Fields, please.
No.
Stop.
I'm not. No. That's what I'm saying. They might play it closer to the vest.
There's a picture of doo-doo, and Justin Fields is right on top of that doo-doo.
No. Listen what I'm saying. That's why I think they might play it close to the vest. This might not be this fantasy goodness game that you think it may be.
Okay, so it's going to be boring and Najee. Right, Would you play Najee Harris?
No, not that since Jalen is playing now. I'm not going to play him. You remember he's playing now. The guy that I do have a little interest in that y'all did not mention is Mr. Mooney. I think Mr. Mooney is an interesting guy for that. I think Mr. Mooney is interesting. I think you got a couple of deep shots. I think he's an interesting guy because you got to remember one thing that Mr. Cousins is what? He's accurate.
Right.
This is
downfield.
Yeah. This is something that Atlanta has not had. Okay. They had the most inaccurate quarterbacks that you could ever have. And that's one thing. Mr. Cousins is accurate. And I just think that in this game, I still like Pitts. I still like Pitts because I think they're going to give them the ball. And I think, sometimes this could be this little negative play that, you don't want to place it. Then Pitts end up having 2 touchdowns. You say, damn, I should have played Pitts. So I still think Pitts is a man of interest to me.
All right, Titans against the Bears. I'm going to go out on a limb here, guys, and say that I don't. By the way, our friend King to Icon says, Mooney, 80-plus yards, mark it down. There you go. The King said it. Titans, Bears. I think the Titans are going to play well. I think Caleb Williams is not going to play particularly well. I know I'm in the minority here, but I'll say this. In college, when Caleb Williams felt the pressure, he became a mobile quarterback. He was not a pocket passer. You do that in the NFL, bad things can happen. Fumbles, interceptions, sacks, crazy things can happen. Swami, are you in on any Bears this weekend? Are you in on any Titans, or do we just fade this game altogether?
I don't know if I want to fade the game altogether, but I think I'm probably leaning more towards fading the game altogether. Here's some of the pieces that I think are interesting. I think that for some reason, I think Pollard, Congo, and maybe even Ridley are interesting to me. But I also like the Bears defense quite a bit. I think last year they shown to have a lot of fantasy goodness. They probably had, 7 or 8 games where they were in double-digit fantasy points. And then on the other side, I think the only way that this game really is close is if Williams is making mistakes or not able to have the ball, convert first downs and keep the chains, staying ahead of the chains. But if he's able to do that, then I think the Bears, I think this might be a little bit easy for him. I'm not sure, what this game looks like if both teams just aren't able to do anything. It just feels like it'll be sloppy. I'm hoping it's not that kind of game.
Willie, I think it is sloppy. The Titans defense may be one of my sneakier plays this week. What do you have?
Hold on for a minute. Camera, get closer to me. Please come closer.
Is it camera 1 or 2?
Camera 1. Listen, this guy, I don't want to fade him, but I think I might fade him. Man, how many necks do you have, sir? You are wishy-washy, man. The only thing I want in this game is give me the Bears defense. That's what I want in this game. Give me the Bears defense. I think everybody's making this. I think he's going to be good, okay, because I put him in a thing. But I just think that this game here, he's a rookie. His first game. I think he may underwhelm in this game. So therefore, I just think in this game right here, I'm going to pass. I'm going to play the Bears defense. They will be one of my core defenses that I'm playing.
All right, Texans are playing the Colts. This game should be very fast-paced. I have one major question here. For the Colts, Anthony Richardson's in play. Michael Pittman's in play. Jonathan Taylor absolutely in play. And A.D. Mitchell in play. All these guys are in play. I think you could stack Richardson with any 2 of those 3 guys. On the other side, C.J. Stroud is in a great spot. Mixon's in a great spot. Guys, we talked about this the last couple of weeks. There are 3 good receivers for Houston. Do I play multiple lineups where I go Dell Collins, Dell Diggs, Collins Diggs? Like, what do you do here, Swami? I have no clue.
I wouldn't be mad if you took that approach. But again, I tell Willie, this is the kind of games that he gets paid the big bucks for. He needs to get off the fence because he's going to break it anyway because he's too heavy. And he needs to make a decision. And me, I said you go one or 2 ways. You either go with Tank Dell because he was the primary guy, I think, last year. I'm not mad at Willie talking about they paid Collins, but I don't think just because you give folks money, chemistry or big plays. So I think you look at Mr. Dell and you being a guy where folks aren't sure, it's kind of split, right? So you know that ownership is going to be going every way. Maybe you plant your flag with him. And if you can't live with that, then maybe you could just, if you got 3 lineups, play one each. But I prefer you plant your flag, you be wrong or you be right for one guy and you move on. My guy.
Willie, heat over. I did say this. They run Taylor at home and the Colts are playing at home. Do you like Taylor? Do you like this game? Are you in on Collins?
I think Taylor is very interesting, but I think I would take a side. If I play Taylor in the game, I won't play Mixon. I think the guy that I like, I think, of course, Stroud is a great play, but I might do what we used to do with Todd Gurley and Jared Goff, play the quarterback and the running back.
Right.
Because I don't, so you could get all the rushing yards and you get all the passing yards, because it could go to 1 or 3 guys. Right. You know what I mean? So I'd rather take an approach like that. Now, Taylor eats this team up. I mean, he killed him in the playoff game. It went nuts. So I think Taylor's a man of interest. And Richardson, listen, Richardson is a man of interest. Because listen, we know. Excuse me. Am I done yet? Did I stop you? Two-Face? Okay. No, thank you. So I think Richardson.
Oliver, is that what's going on?
Yeah. I think Mr. Richardson is definitely a man of interest. I think you could play Richardson, but the guy that I like that I don't think a lot of people are going to play. I think Mixon is a play that a lot of people are going to go to receivers, and I'd rather go to the running back in this situation.
Swami, what do you want to say?
Doc, I was reading the Zen Master article on drroto.com, and he mentioned in the article that the last 4 games, Taylor against Houston, he's averaging about 30 fantasy points. I think they're going to lean on him again. Richardson's really just kind of coming back, right? Like this is still his comeback game as well. And I think that for them to try to keep pace more like a shootout with Houston, that's not the game they want to be in. I think they want to pound it and give him maybe 30 plus touches, at least maybe 22, 24. And then maybe target him 5 times or something like that, or even maybe 27 times. But they have to get him involved if they want to have a chance in this game.
All right, let's get to the Jaguars and Dolphins. This is going to be a big, big, high-scoring game. So look, guys, Tua's in play. Chan and Mostert are in play in one way, shape, or form. Somebody could have a big game. Tyreek, I've got to think, is going to be in 20% of lineups. What about Waddle? And on the other side, there's ETN. There's Engram. There's Kirk. There's a kid named Brian Thomas who's pretty good. Willie, how are you stacking up this game? How are you playing it?
I think, if I'm going to sack it, I think Waddle is in play. Everybody's on Tyreek, and Tyreek is a great player. But I think you could also go with Waddle. I think you also go with the tight end for the Jaguars, Ingram. I think he's interesting. And ETN is interesting, but everybody's favorite guy is going to be Tyreek Hill, and rightly so, because he can break the slate. He can get you 40 points. He's one of those guys that can get you 40. But what I'm telling you is, I'm just telling people, just don't stack it with this Tyreek. Sometimes put Waddle in there, because you never know what might happen. Tyreek could get 20 points. And he don't get no touchdown, then Waddle could get the touchdown. So I think you gotta play it. You can play it both ways if you got lineups. But I think they're very interesting. But I'm not gonna have this is still, even though this is everybody's favorite game, this is not my favorite game. So this is not my favorite game. So but I'm definitely gonna have some I'm gonna have something in this game, because this game is worth having.
Swami, what do you have in this game? And who do you like for Jacksonville too?
Doc, the first thing I got is I got some truth serum, because somebody said they was fading this game and didn't like Mr. Tyreek Hill, and it was only going to have a little bit of exposure to him week 1, but that didn't come out right here. I won't tell you who he said he was going to play instead of Mr. Tyreek Hill, because it's probably going to be his balls to the walls calls, so I don't want to play spoiler. But let me tell you right now the guys I like, and I'm going to start on the other side like you asked, Doc. First, I think Mr. Kirk, if healthy, he's very interested. Obviously, I think Ingram is interesting. I think Trevor Lawrence becomes a man in play. You mentioned a rookie. I like his price as well at 4,700. I think he becomes a man of interest if you're doing a stack of this game, especially if you want to take the Jacksonville side and then bring it back with Mr. Tyreek Hill, the only guy who should be in every stack, regardless of what Walls is playing. The primary reason, because week one, soft pricing, etc., he's the only guy that can absolutely take the top off. You got one other person you might consider in there. We talk about that's Josh Allen, but I'm talking about at receiver. Based on all things being considered, he has the highest probability of breaking the slate. You got to have him in there.
You do. I think if I'm playing 3 lineups, which you know I do, he will be in 2. I don't think he'll be in the 3rd, but he will be in 2. All right. Panthers, Saints. We're not stacking this game, but there are a couple of pieces I want to talk about. For the Panthers, guys, I want to talk about Chuba and Deontay Johnson, especially against the Saints man coverage. And on the other side, Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill. Swami Taysom Hill might be close to, 25% rostered. The dude's $4,300, and he could have 2 touchdowns and break the slate. Do you like any of these guys, or am I missing somebody?
Doc, which camera am I on?
You're on 2. Willie was on 1.
And 2, zoom in camera 2. Not just no, but hell no. And let me tell you why, Doc. First of all, this is a division game. This game is typically more of what I would call a slugfest. It's not a game that typically shoots out a high scoring, especially when the Saints are at home. That defense seems to have a little bit of an advantage. They seem to be revved up down there in the Superdome. And I definitely don't like most road teams, let alone a team that's been struggling. I think the Panthers still got a lot to prove. I'm not a huge fan of Trimble, Hubbard, Bubbard, or Gubbard, whatever you want to call this guy. I'm not a huge fan of him. He's decent. He's serviceable. He's okay at his price, but no thank you. And unless Deontay Johnson is playing quarterback, y'all can have him too. So I don't think I want much of this game. I don't think Kamara's a big draw against the Panthers in this game. I'm not really sure of anybody. If I had to pick somebody, I'm talking about with something to my head that could fire off a projectile at some type of speed, which would consider it lethal. I don't think I'd take anybody except maybe Rashid or maybe Olave. Other than that, I stay far away from this one. Y'all can have it.
Willie, thoughts here?
I think Hubbard is interesting. Honestly, I think Hubbard's an interesting guy. And one of my favorite receivers on the slate is Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay is a man of interest. I think you are downplaying this new coordinator that they have. You saw what happened to Tampa Bay, with Mayfield and company. I'm just telling you, he is going to find it. He's going to get that ball to Deontay. He's one of the best. When they play that man-to-man, he's one of the best guys against man-to-man coverage. I'm telling you, he can have one of those 9 catches, 105 yards, and if he gets a touchdown, you're going to need to have it. I'm telling you, this guy can play. Everybody's just downplaying that they don't think Carolina's going to be better. They got the offensive line a little better. They worked on their line. This team is not going to be the same as last year. They're going to be a little different. So I think I want everybody to continue to sleep on them because I'm telling you, Deontay Johnson is a man of interest.
He is. And Canales is going to design plays for him. He was successful in Seattle. He was successful in Tampa. Deontay is his best player by far. By far.
Just got one question for you. Is there a player you wouldn't take 9 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown from?
Of course not.
Defense rest. Anytime we get these type of crazy stats where you wouldn't turn it down from anybody.
No, but Johnson can legitimately do that. He's always been a good player. Just always gets hurt. I mean, look, if Deontay Johnson goes 3 for 30 and goes out of the game with an injured hamstring, I wouldn't be shocked either. The dude's brittle. All right, Seattle against Denver. There's something here with this team. Walker is in play. Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba is in play. On the other side, maybe Javonte Williams in play, maybe Cortland Sutton, maybe Bo Nix. Swami, you like this game at all, or are you passing on it?
Doc, I'm very interested in this game. But before I go, Willie, fix your face. Deontay Johnson has probably never had 100 yards rush, perceiving in the NFL game ever. So you just put him on some type of career stats. Look it up. He's hot garbage. Fix your face. Anyway, Doc, back to your question. You talked
He
about
has had 100 yards, but anyway, we'll go.
okay, I'm gonna look it up. I'll fact check. I don't think so because he's hot garbage. Anyway,
Okay.
Doc.
You
So
you
I'm
don't know. Go.
order in the court. So Doc, I'm interested in Mr. Knicks. Primary because he was one able to win the job, and two, I think they got some pieces over there, and three, they're going against Seattle. If they were at home, I like them a lot more. I think being on the road again, that 12th man kind of Seattle. I hope the rookie's not rattled, but I think they're interesting at their price at 5,000. It almost feels like you almost have to play him and maybe a Sutton, maybe coming back with a Metcalf, or even playing the other side and playing Geno with Metcalf and then coming back with Sutton or even playing Williams because of their prices. I think their prices make them very, very interesting. I say, it's some things that I could probably, point to, but I think both sides are interesting because of their price and the fact that I don't think the defenses, they're decent, but I don't think they're scary.
Willie, you like this game, or can we move on to another one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Seattle part is interesting. I like Seattle's defense, to be honest with you, against this rookie. I like the defense, but Walker's definitely play, Metcalf's a play, and Jigman. I like those three. And Geno, I'm gonna have me a little exposure to Geno. I think Geno's interesting because they're gonna have a new passing scheme, and then what Denver gives up in deep routes will fits right into what this offensive coordinator likes to do.
And Doc Johnson hit 90 yards one time, week 9, 2023, in his entire career. He's never hit 100 yards. Thank you.
All right, so he's due. All right.
That's right. He's a 12-month baby.
Add another dude, Doc.
A 12-month baby.
He's 16 months pregnant, as Willie would say.
Absolutely.
And he's not due either. Wall's due too.
The Chargers are playing the Raiders, and I'm going to give you two ways this game can go. This game could be boring, run, defense, Zamir, Gus the Bus, nothing happens. But what if everybody thinks that's going to happen? And what if there's a little changeroo? And all of a sudden, Justin Herbert's throwing a Ladd McConkey and he's throwing a Josh Palmer. What if Gardner Minshew is, channeling his Uncle Rico and he's throwing a Devontae Adams and he's throwing to Jacoby Myers? Willie Walls, could this be the sneaky game that nobody's thinking about?
Let me tell you something. Adam wipes this team up like they did something to his mother. He kills the Chargers. Seriously, he kills them. I like Adams in this game, and you might hear this other name for later for one of those balls to the walls called. But I love Mr. Ladd McConkey. A lot of people don't know about him, and they think because he's a white dude that he don't have a game. But let me tell you something. This dude can get open. I guarantee you're going to find out. So, because look at his price, what it is right now, $4,700. I think Justin Herbert is still a good quarterback. I'm hoping the Raiders could take a lead and do this, but I just think that they're interesting. But Ladd McConkey is one of my favorite plays of the slate that I don't think people are going to play about or they know about. But I like Ladd McConkey in this game.
So, you like this game or you hate this game?
Doc, I think I'm going to agree with you. I've been back and forth in this game more than Willie Walls at a buffet. I just don't know, just like you said, where the coin will land. But I do say something tells me I like Herbert. I feel like he's got some pieces. He's got a couple of backs behind him. I do like Ladd. I think also interesting, they got Jerry Rice. I'm calling him Jerry Rice Jr., even though that's not his junior. He does have a junior, but I think Brendan is interested if he can maybe some kind of way emerge and come out from the shadows behind Johnson and maybe Palmer. It is something there. I just don't know if it's there for week 1. I think the defenses right now probably got a little bit more of an edge than the offenses in this game. But if I did like some pieces, I would take Zamir White and I would take Ladd McConkey. I
agree with that. All right. 2 more games I want to talk about. One is your Washington Commanders, Willie, against the Tampa Bay Bucks. You could call me crazy. I love Jaden Daniels in general. I love Terry McLaurin. But I think this is a game the Bucks should play well in. If you wanted to do a Baker, Rashad White, put him with a receiver, whether it's Godwin or Evans, I think you might be onto something here. Willie, you know this Commander team better than anybody. Which way are you going in this game?
I think you go both ways. I mean, I really do. And listen, let me tell you something. Now, I have, even though the Commanders are my team, I don't give them any breaks. I can't. I've said they were some sorry bastards. But let me tell you something. This kid that they got right here, he can play. He can play. I like this kid, and I'm gonna tell you, Tampa's gonna blitz his ass as soon as he gets off the bus. They're gonna start blitzing him. Now that's how they're gonna blitz him. But remember, this kid in college was the best against the blitz. Okay, so he's a smart kid. I like him. Plus, anytime you got that speed and you can get those little extra yak yards, I like this guy. I think Terry McLaurin is one of my favorite players on the slate. I love Mr. McLaurin, Scary Terry. I like him. I think you could play Ertz if you want to play Ertz. I think you could play Cotton if you want to play Cotton. I think Cotton had a very interesting end of the year.
Kate Otten?
Yeah, Kate Otten. He had a very interesting end of the year. But my favorite guys is Rachaad White. Now I did see that thing. I saw the blur from the coach that he's going to go with the hot hand. That gave me cause for pause. But you know what? That's going to make me even just go on White more, because anytime that you hear some coach speak sometimes and you get off the player, then you say, oh, man, look at him. He's going nuts, and I don't have him. I think Rachaad White it's a great matchup. I think he's going to catch the ball. He's going to run the ball. Evans is definitely a man of interest, and so is Godwin. I mean,
Willie, don't forget what Permar's saying. Jalen McMillan is interesting as well as that third receiver. Godwin's in the slot. McMillan played at Washington with Adunze and Polk. He's really good too, and he's cheap. He's dirt cheap.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to play him, but I understand. I mean, he would have to beat me, but I just think that this game is definitely one of my favorite games, and the Rams game on FanDuel. I'm going to have a lot of that game.
All right, Swami. Before that, I want to give a shout out to the Pops. His name is Grady. He's Replay Reel's dad. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys very much. Swami, let me ask you this question. Mike Evans may have the best wide receiver cornerback matchup. He's playing Michael Davis, who's terrible. Washington's secondary is terrible. Is Mike Evans set it and forget it?
Yeah, Mike Evans is definitely a man of interest. I think, like Walls, probably because of price, I think I started to lean, I think, at McLaurin and Godwin because of their prices. And we know what they can do as far as, Scary Terry going deep or hitting a home run ball. And we know what Godwin can do if they're feeding him and they're hitting him over the middle and he's getting open and moving the chains with him. And obviously, I think Rachaad. I'm not as high as he is on Otten, but I do like Baker Mayfield a lot. You could talk into maybe Ertz. I think he's definitely a man of interest. But if you talking about just from an upside perspective, I think I'm leaning more McDaniels. But I wouldn't be mad at a full stack in this game. I don't think you can go wrong. I'm probably going to play after this conversation. I'm probably going to look for Mike Evans because I think other folks will think the same way about going with Godwin to saving some money. So I think for that reason, like you said, Doc, I think I'm a fade up, and I think Evans will probably be in my big lineup.
Willie, before we get to the last game, Brian Robinson Jr., in or out?
I mean, you know what? I mean, that would be the contrarian play. I mean, he would be. I mean, I would say in. I think he's in. I just think you could play anybody in this game, and I think most people will think the game theory part will be play the run that they will be behind, but he also catches balls too. So I mean, he's not a core doc, but I'm just saying that's a contrarian play.
Swami, had your hand up. What do you got?
I'd play Smokey Robinson Jr. first.
All right, fair enough. But you know what, Swami, you did say something interesting before, and I want to go with what Willie just said with Robinson. Evans Robinson is the correlation that nobody's going to have. People will have McLaurin and Godwin, but they're not going to want to pay up for Evans, and nobody thinks Washington's going to run the ball. Sometimes football, and how many times have I said this over the years? It goes the way you don't think it's going to go. When it's that predictable, it never happens that way. There's always a couple of things that we talk about each week. We're like, how did I not see that? I'm giving you the thing that you're not seeing right now.
Doc, but that argument, while it's a good argument, I think we can make it about every game. And then it would lull me getting my head cracked. So when I studied the game tapes, and that's going from 2020 to 2023 and looking at all the millionaire winners, I'm looking to see what. And so Fick's got to have a certain number of touches and a certain number of targets to even sometimes be considered or have the ability for a big play. And Brian Robinson just doesn't feel like somebody who could do either one. I just couldn't imagine him being a top 5 fantasy running back week 1, and that's the trouble, man.
All right, let's get to the last game before we get to our picks there. We've got, what is that game? Oh, Cowboys against Cleveland. You got CD Lamb. You got a bunch of running backs who are not very good. You got Ferguson. You got Cooks. On the other side, I'm going to argue this. Amari Cooper is out there against Trayvon Diggs, who has not played in over a year, hasn't played in preseason. You got Jerry Jeudy there. Dallas's other cornerback is out. Bland is out. I mean, is Cleveland not a must-win here if Deshaun Watson didn't stink? Swami, how bad is Deshaun Watson, and could he be remotely decent and playable this week?
Doc, you had to go back to the 90s to find a better fade than this one. It's just not possible not having interest in this one. I tell you what, if you were to play this game, it is a stack, and the GPP one would be Watson with, say, a Cooper and maybe even a Ford, and you come back. Well, I don't need Doc. I'm just being honest. This game's a fade. I'm gonna stop. I don't even want the folks out there in TV land to get on this. No, thank you.
All right, Willie, you like this game at all?
Pass.
Pass. All right, Willie, I'm giving you a crisp $100 bill to put a stack on. Who is the stack of the week?
Well, my stack of the week is going to be give me the rookie quarterback for the Commanders. Give me Scary Terry. Give me Rashad White, coming back on the other side. And give me, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do Mr. Evans that a lot of people might go, well, God, give me that. That's my stack of the week.
Swami, who's your Swami stack for $100?
Doc, I like for Willie first, but maybe he got to be sponsored by either Vaseline or Chapstick. I mean, it feels like he took every play you like and tried to put it in one lineup. Doc, you talk about brown nosing. My goodness, I could hear the from here, Doc. My God, the be more careful.
Who's the one using fade up? You ain't never used that word before. Yeah.
Doc just mentioned it, so I mentioned it anyway. So, Doc, I could sit here and do a Willie Walls and give you a, Trevor Lawrence would come back with, Hill. But I'm not going to do that, Doc, right? This is why folks tune in to Friday Night Lights, so we don't just give them the chalk. So you know what I'm going to get these folks out here, Doc? I'm going to tell you, I think Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, and Metcalf, and maybe come back with a Sutton might be the kind of stack that we want to be interested, because then it allows you to fill out the rest of your roster with those guys that we think can really take the top off.
All right, I'm going to do a hybrid of Willie's, which was originally mine, which Willie took over, but it's okay. We're good with that. I'm going to say Baker Mayfield with Rashad White and Mike Evans. And then I'll probably bring it back with Terry. Or I'm going to throw a guy that nobody's thinking about, Noah Brown, who was just signed. What does Noah Brown do? He goes deep. What does Jaden Daniels do? Throws deep. All right. Balls to the walls call from Willie Walls. Who's your guy, my man?
I got two. All right. I got two. One, Mr. Mooney for Atlanta. Two, the guy that I told you about before, Lad McConkey. That's my balls to the walls.
Swami says
he's clearly been drinking. This guy need to stay out of that doggone happy hour. I tell you that. But anyway, Doc, I don't know if this is too easy to give you Kirk. I don't know if I'd be, if I be running afoul of really giving you something that you weren't looking at by giving you Kirk. So I think another play that's been very interesting to me is probably, I think Walker's too easy. I think.
Oh, yeah. Say it. Say something.
Say it already.
I mean, please.
Like
Somebody help him.
I think the Swami says play, Doc, is probably going to be, let's go with Connor for Arizona.
All right. I waited for that one.
Folks are looking at him. I think he'll get 20 plus touches. I think they'll probably lean on him a little bit more in Buffalo, or he'll get a lot of targets out the backfield, him and McBride.
A lot of targets out of the backfield. I agree with that. All right, I'm going to give you three. Firstly, I got to live up to my 2 touchdown parlay that I gave out last year on the radio, where I gave out Henry and Pacheco getting 2 touchdowns in the same week. 2 guys who could do that this week. 1, Zamir White. If anybody can find the end zone twice, it's Zamir White. Chargers run defense stinks. Always has. Secondly, I still like Taysom Hill a little bit. I like Taysom Hill just a little bit. And then 3, my crazy call of the week. By the way, the Titans defense. I think the Titans defense is going to shock the world. And by the way, so King to Icon gives Ray Davis 2 touchdowns. I like that. I think that's really sneaky too. And I think this one right here, Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson, bring it back with little neighbors. I like that as well. All right.
Interesting, Doc. I'm going to say this. I think Caleb Williams is a good quarterback, though. I don't know if I bet against him right now.
That's why I'm saying it. Got to be a little crazy to win to be your rich friend. All right, but right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. For Willie Walls, the great Swami, it's Dr. Roto saying we wish you the best of luck. We'll catch you next week. Be well and
take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.
All right, guys.